Right, display name. He's a Sanatani.
Hey, hello. Hi, both
Hi
of you.
there. Where are you joining from?
India.
India. Okay. Welcome to DawahWise.
Thank you.
So, have you been listening to the previous conversation?
I have, in fact, the previous person, the Sumur or Subur,
Yeah, Sabu left because
yeah,
he had
Subur,
some other
he was making a lot of
commitments.
claims, but most of them were not accurate and kind of
Which one?
disturbing as well.
Which claim of
First, he
Sabu's
also,
was not accurate?
the first one he mentioned that Indians living in like pretty much a imaginary coconut that you mentioned, where we were exposed to other religions, just Sikhism and some Islam is what he made. That is incorrect because we have several religions here and we've been exposed to it for hundreds of years, and we had Islam for almost thousands of years. There's no some
So
Islam,
before
there's a lot of
before the
Islam.
Mughals, before the Muslims came to India, what was the religion
Mhm.
of the different? I think India wasn't even a one country; it was multiple princely states, isn't it?
Yeah, but his reference was to the current situation where people who are coming from
No, no, he
India
was referring to
have
before,
an idea.
not the current
No,
situation.
he was talking about the immigrants who are coming to UK, and you were talking
Yeah,
about where they go to
yeah, I think
US
he
and
was
UK.
talking about kind of living in an echo chamber. You know what that means? It
He,
means you are
he,
mostly exposed to Hinduism, yeah, or your culture or your tradition. And to be honest, many Muslims are like that as well. They are only exposed to their religion, their faith, and even though they live in India amongst the Hindus, they don't know the basics of Hinduism. And
100%.
that is one of the purposes of our streams, our live streams, how we can bridge this gap. Yeah, so we understand each other rather than um, talking about each other from prejudice or from
So, do you think the
some
gap
form of.
has been bridged, or are we creating more gaps between these two communities? So,
Well,
some
I
of the
think
discussions.
based on our conversations with the Hindus, they are understanding Islam, and in fact, many of the Hindus are understanding Hinduism from our streams, which they didn't know about before. And I've seen many times they comment in our comment section saying that I didn't know about this. It's a good thing you pointed it out to me.
I agree. The question is, but does it create any kind of disturbance between two communities? I see some discussions in the group. They are pretty much most of them are rude to
There will
other.
always be disagreement. There's no doubt. In fact, even amongst the Hindus, there'll be disagreement, let alone Muslims and Hindus. So, anyway, let me get back to the topic here. So, as you know, our topic is to discuss the concept of God in Hinduism, Christianity, and Islam. I want to know, as a Sanatani, why do you consider the concept of God in Hinduism to be more accurate or more coherent when you contrast it to Islam or to Christianity?
So, as a Hindu, pretty much all Hindus will believe this that all gods are same. The paths may be different, but the destination is same. And also, Bhagavad Gita, verse 9, chapter 22, also says the same that
Sorry, did you
those
say all
devotees,
gods are the same?
all paths may be the same, but they lead may be different, but they lead to the same destination, kind of thing, right?
So all paths within Hinduism lead to the same destination, is what you're saying?
Not just Hinduism, Islam, or Christianity, Judaism, or anything, right? We all talk about God. You believe in God. I believe in
Well,
God.
we don't have the same concept, so you can't say it's the same. For example, we don't
Sure,
have
but
the concept of um, reincarnation or moksha or anything like
sorry.
that.
Those are specific. Let's assume that you believe in a God that created everything and all powerful and
No,
everything.
no,
I
no. Hang on.
believe in a God that
Just
created all
on that
powerful and
point.
everything.
Sorry, just on that point. That's illogical and irrational.
Am I
I'll give
being
you a simple
interrupted
example.
within 30 seconds of answering this question
No,
already?
but look, it's very
We'll give you time,
important.
don't worry. Yeah, go on.
I'll give you time. I just want to make that point right now because all religions they may have teachings that are very similar, but when it comes to the concept of God, who they worship, the concept is different. So I'll give you a very simple example. In Christianity, you have the example of the idea of the Trinity, right? And where Jesus is deified as a a part of
Co-equal,
God.
yeah,
In,
yeah.
and so this is not a belief system in Islam. We believe that Jesus was a prophet of God. So the concept of God in Islam, in Christianity, is different. The concept of God in Hinduism. So just to get a brush and say, all religions are the same, they all lead to the same path. They don't, because you're worshiping a different, you're worshiping a different type of an understanding of God. Okay, and so that
Sure,
means you're
that's what you
honoring,
believe in.
you're worshiping, you're giving thanks, you're being grateful, you're being, you're doing all of these things. You're begging for forgiveness. you're asking for blessings to all different things. So it's very important to make that point at the beginning. What you just made in Hinduism, that may be an understanding, but in reality, that's illogical and irrational.
Yeah,
See, okay,
sorry,
that's your belief, right?
display.
If you're talking about,
Just 1 sec. I just want to make a quick announcement. So, if there are any Muslims in the back studio, can you please leave until we call you later? I know you guys are eager to speak to us, but we have to give first opportunity to the non-Muslims now. We'll call you later, so please vacate the studio and make room for the non-Muslims. Thank you very much. Yeah, go on, display.
thank you. So yeah, what you said is your opinion, what you've read, what is your understanding of your religion. You made a claim, and I'm not disputing that, but not necessarily everyone has to believe the same thing. Like that is exactly why we have different religions, because everyone doesn't agree with the same thing. My religion, on the other hand, tells me that again, as I mentioned, Bhagavad Gita, verse chapter 9, verse 23, that even those devotees who worship other gods, they worship me. They just do it in a wrong way, right? So if God is the one and ultimate, he shouldn't be insecure about what people call him or what people address him or where the worship goes. It doesn't matter. Let's just assume I'm talking to Salahuddin and you're the only one in the room. I don't have to address Salahuddin constantly to make you understand I'm talking to you, right? Because you're the only one in the room. If there's Hashim, you, and let's just say there was a Supur, and then if I'm talking about Salahuddin as the best person in this podcast right now, sorry, in this panel right now, then it makes it like I have to specifically address you. But God is the only one. So there has to be no insecurities,
That's a
because
false
who else is
analogy.
No,
going to get the praise?
hold on. With all due respect, when you say God is insecure, okay, I think that is a blasphemy
Sounds
from
okay.
from the side of your God as well. If God
I
tells
don't
us
think
very
so. God get offended
specifically,
that way. So
let me finish before you cut me off. If God specifically tells you that there is no other gods besides Him, yeah. So, for example, Allah in Surah At-Taha, chapter 20, verse 14, clearly mentions that worship me alone and no other gods.
so
Okay.
that's the
By the
problem what
way,
I'm talking about.
wait a
Worship
minute.
me alone. That
We
makes me
don't consider
feel.
Krishna to be God. Okay, because
Yeah, I
for
don't know. I
us,
don't consider Allah to be God. That's
you
what
know,
I'm trying to
you
differentiate.
were
You
complaining
disagree with me.
about Salahuddin cutting you off. Now you're doing the same thing.
I was
Let
defending
me
Brahma.
complete, and then you can speak. Let's have a
All
proper
right, sure.
discussion, man.
I get the same privilege as well, right?
Calm down now. If you don't want to engage, we can bring somebody else on. There are lots of people waiting in the studio.
I'm asking for the same thing that you're asking for. How am I
Just
not calm?
will you let me finish without you interjecting?
Sure, I'll expect the
Good.
same.
Okay. Krishna, Ram, these are avatars of Vishnu. Am I right so far?
Yep, that's my
Okay,
understanding too.
good. When you are an avatar, you are not the Ishwar. Am I right?
Debatable.
You're the avatar of the Ishwar. You're not Ishwar yourself. That's the reason
Debatable.
you're subject to all the um, weaknesses of a human being. Like, for example, Krishna and Ram, both of them died. Yeah, both of them had challenges in their lives. They
Yep.
had wives and concubines and whatnot. So you cannot say they are the same. So what you're doing here is false equivocation by trying to compare Allah with your gods. Your gods are very different. Allah doesn't have any avatars. He doesn't actually transform into something else. He is beyond our understanding, beyond our comprehension. Yes, the only understanding of Allah we have is what He revealed to us in the Quran. And Allah says, "Laysa kamithlihi shay." There is nothing like unto Him. But you see, in the case of Hinduism, you can't use the same argument, because the gods or the avatars, the Bhagwans in Hinduism, they look like men. They were men actually, okay, and they were subject to all the weaknesses of a human being. So you cannot use false equivocation when you're discussing Islam and try to use this blasphemous concept that God is the one who is insecure. He's not. He is the one who is almighty. This is His glory and this is His sovereignty, which He declares when He says there is nothing worship except Allah alone. So, for example, if you're a king of a country, would you tolerate another king to declare sovereignty of that kingdom?
Because there are several kings, so the king can't be insecure. Your
No,
argument again puts me in
kingdom.
the same
In the kingdom,
position,
you are the only king. Would you accept
but you know there are
another
different kingdoms,
person
correct?
to declare sovereignty of that kingdom?
But there are other kingdoms, which pretty much makes sense that there are
Brother,
other
can you
kingdoms,
ask
there are other
about the
kings.
king itself? The king rules one kingdom. Okay?
So can a
Based on
kingdom
the
be replaced?
analogy, can you
Can a
answer
king
based on the
can a
analogy
king be
and not
replaced?
twist the analogy?
Can a king be replaced by another king? Is a question.
I'm saying when the
If they
king is
can be
alive,
replaced,
wait a minute, when the
can he
king
be
is alive
replaced?
and he's ruling the kingdom, for example, King Charles, yeah, of England. If another king comes and says that this is my kingdom, do you think King Charles will tolerate it?
So if King Hashim captures King Charles and then he says he's a new king, is it
Okay,
allowed?
this guy doesn't answer questions. I'm going to get rid of him. This is your last chance. Don't
See,
twist the analogy,
you are
or you'll be
giving me
kicked
a
out.
small you're giving me a small bracket.
Bye bye. This is what happens when you ask them specific questions. They make jalebis, and they
Yes.
think they have all the time in the world to listen to them. No, mate, try somewhere else.